It is exactly 2 days to the end of Sofian Amrabat's loan spell at Manchester United, and INEOS have made their decision on his future. Well, obviously, by this time they should have made it. It's just a matter of time that we shall know whether or not Amrabat is going to stay. But I've got an update for you concerning what is likely to happen, and of course, soon we shall know. But also, I'm going to give my 2 cents on the pros and cons of any of the two options that INEOS has got to make about Sofian Amrabat. Like, share, and subscribe. My name is Webb. This is the United Road Sport, and we are back to talk Manchester United, guys, as we do get closer and closer to what could be our first deal, which is now seeming to shift into the hands of Manuel Ugarte, because as it looks, Man United seem to be so clear when it comes to the first priority of a holding midfielder. Ugarte seems to be the guy, but also PSG will not stop talking to us. They have also got players they want from Manchester United. But let's get into it, guys. I do remind you, subscribe, guys. Most of you watch the videos, but you don't subscribe. Just subscribe, but also like. Can we try to push this one to 100 likes, guys? Let's try to push to 100 likes. Like the video if you indeed enjoy it. Now let's get into it. So Sofian Amrabat is most likely, there's a decent source when it comes to Man United news. It's called the United Focus. And they have come out to suggest that INEOS have made their decision and it's known to keep Sofian Amrabat. And they assessed, INEOS do not base on moments to assess a player or anything before coming up with a decision. They try to base on so many things that have gone on, especially across the whole season. And in their review, I think Amrabat is one of the people they reviewed, and they seem not to have been impressed. Now, this is according to the United Focus. They were not impressed entirely by Sofian Amrabat and his performances. Never mind him leaving it late and giving some decent performances. In fact, I remember Paul Scholes after the final game he played, that is the FA Cup final. Scholes likened him to prime Gennaro Gattuso, and that is such, I think, a big endorsement from, first of all, such a high-profile player or legend, but also being compared to Gennaro Gattuso as a number 6 is a huge, huge honor, I must say. And yes, we would say, of course, it was exaggerated, but we would say he played extremely well, even against Arsenal, not even just the FA Cup final. I think the last games he played extremely well. But uh, INEOS based on the entire season to try and come up with a decision, and like that would be the logical thing to do, honestly. Now, here's what I think for me. There are advantages to us keeping Amrabat and disadvantages to it. Now, the advantages, I'll start with those. The advantages for me are: one, he's cheap and available because we have paid about £8 million for him on loan with an option to keep him permanently by adding an extra about £15 million. Now, in total, that would be about £22 million. Now, that's little money for a player who has shown that he can have the levels he showed against Man City and against Arsenal. So that's so little for a player in that position, and it's already in the clause. So meaning we have an opportunity to get a decent player for cheap, not world class, but decent for cheap. Two, he's almost turning 28. Now, he will be 28 in August. Now, that can be an advantage or a disadvantage, depending on how you look at it. But the fact that he's going to be more, if he stays, he's going to be a squad player, a squad player, not a first choice player. I think 28 is decent, given the fact that we have a young 19-year-old Kobe, a baby in Kobe Mainu, and we have a 23-year-old who we're most likely going to bring in Ugarte. So you think the third option, the third player we must have in that rotation in the middle, or probably as the one to come off the bench to play either number 6 or number 8, or backing up the two of them, should be a little more experienced than them, because there are games where and moments in games where you need a bit of experience. That is what we mean when we talk about depth. Depth is not exactly in numbers. Depth is, yes, in numbers, but also in variation in age. That you've got a teenager, a 19-year-old, very talented, the future. You've got a 23-year-old, almost mature, almost close to their prime, and a more experienced player who is not as good as the other two, but brings a bit of that experience that will be needed at some point in the game. Now, that is an advantage when you look at Sofian Amrabat. The third advantage is the fact, if you believe in better the devil you know than you don't, is the fact that Amrabat has been at Man United for the past whole season through the ups and downs, and he has fought and been there and has shown and also has been working with Eric Ten Hag. So it means he's more used now, more acclimatized to the environment around Man United than any player who might want to bring in. So looking at those advantages, you probably feel if he stays, he makes sense. He gives us something, and it will be easy for him to fit into whatever Eric Ten Hag is planning because he has been a part of it anyway. He knows how Eric Ten Hag wants to play. He has worked with him before. Now he has worked with him for a full season at Man United. So it's easier for him to grasp and fit into whatever we're building than it would be for so many new guys to come in and fit in. That is an advantage. Now, on the other side, if you look at it on the flip side, in terms of disadvantages, one, his age can be a disadvantage to some. You can say 28, that's almost old. He will want only young players. Again, if you don't care about experience. The other disadvantage you can say with Amrabat is I have reservations personally about his fitness. He might be an injury-prone player, and that is why perhaps INEOS looked at him and said, no, this player is not going to give us much. And that is why also the fact that he's injury-prone, his consistency can be questioned. How is he going to be so consistent with the way? Because if he played only 30 games for Man United, but you realize that I think for the bigger part of his loan spell at Man United, he was injured. Yet he came in at the start of the season and in the summer. So for a player who is not going to be fully available, you have doubts. What's the best for us to think he will be fit going forward? So his fitness issues can also be an issue, and if we are not sure about them, we don't want again to start a season with another player who is going to spend more time in the injury room than on the pitch. So that is another disquiet about Sofian Amrabat. The third one, which I think is the most important, is if INEOS have shown us that they can bid for Jared Branthwaite with multiple bids for Branthwaite, or they wanted to sign Michael Olise, it's a sign that probably they have the money. And if they do have the money, aren't we limiting ourselves to think that if we sign Ugarte, we can't sign another world-class centre back, and we have two of them? Because we say we want depth in this squad. We want a huge squad where there is competition in all positions. Now, just bringing in one Ugarte will not really give us the depth, but two of them would. Now, if we limit ourselves to Amrabat and confine our thoughts to Amrabat, aren't we saying that INEOS probably doesn't have money to spend? What if they have the money to spend? Wouldn't it be better if Man United brought in Ugarte and let's say Julmand, or Ugarte and Onana? Because it's possible. It seems they seem to have the money. So we need to be open-minded. Because if we confine ourselves to Amrabat, yes, the advantages, like I explained, are there, but also there is at times the anonymity is also an advantage. If you bring in two guys no one knows, but with different varying age, Ugarte of 23 and bring in a 28-year-old midfielder, another 27 or 28-year-old, even 29, more experienced in Joshua Kimmich, for example, that will be more depth in terms of age and numbers, and we are bringing in a fresher player who is even closer to world class. So you think about it that way, and you will be open-minded about Amrabat. But I want you to drop down in the comment section, and I dropped a poll, by the way, if I could even check the poll and see how it's performing, because I did ask you, in your view, whether you think Man United should keep Sofian Amrabat or not, because it's now time to make the decision. His loan spell is ending in 2 days. On the 30th, that's when it ends, and INEOS have already made their decision by now. It's a matter of them making it known to the general public, and of course they certainly will, because even Fiorentina themselves do want to make decisions on whether to sell him or not, because clubs are interested in him. So should Man United keep Sofian Amrabat? 54 votes so far. This is about 40 minutes ago when I posted, and 81% are saying yes, whereas 19% are saying no. So majority of the people do want him to stay. Will INEOS listen to the majority of supporters of Man United, or are they going to do what they already perhaps have decided to do? We will, of course, wait to see, but it's a matter of 2 days. But I just wanted to give you perspective on the pros and cons of any of the two decisions that INEOS will make. But according to the United Focus, they don't seem to be extremely convinced by him, and their plan seems to be to send him back to Fiorentina. My name is Webb. This is the United Hotspot. Like, share, and subscribe. Strictly United Talk here. I'll catch you later, fam.